Welcome to Faith Stories with Dawn DeMarco Buck. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they will see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16.
Well, hello and welcome to Faith Stories. I'm Dawn DeMarco Buck. What is Faith Stories? Faith Stories are Christians from all walks of life who share their stories of faith, hope, and love. And my prayer is that through hearing these stories in the Word of God, you would come to know your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And how do you do that? Well, also through His Word, which is the Bible. So please reach out. If you need a Bible, please reach out to me at email faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. Okay, you guys, I have an amazing guest today. His name is Bryan Docobo. He is a South Florida attorney, speaker, and founder of the Coats Plus Foundation. After losing his young son Ethan to a rare genetic disease, he continues to fight for his son Liam while inspiring and guiding other men to lead with faith, strength, and integrity through life's greatest challenges. Okay, you guys, you're going to meet Bryan right after these messages, and he's awesome.
Broughton Garage Door Sales now offers you a difference with the LiftMaster Secure View Ultra Quiet Smart Opener with camera, LED 360-degree lighting, and battery backup. Built-in camera adds video and two-way audio communication to the MyQ app. You can control, secure, and monitor your garage anytime, anywhere from your smartphone. Schedule today at Broughton.com.
Just simply call Broughton. We open doors for you.
Tavilla Properties, located at 11471 West Sample Road, Suite 17, located in Coral Springs, Florida, for all your commercial needs. Call Jan at 954-341-1632. That's 954-341-1632, or visit www.tavillaproperties.com.
Discover Rosie's Garden. The collection draws inspiration from the beautiful niece of the founder, Rosie, who brought joy to many before passing too soon. Her beauty and spirit are reflected in every piece. Founded by two friends, Rosie's Garden is a female-owned brand passionate about creating stunning, elegant jewelry that embodies the concept of bellissima, the Italian word for beautiful. With a philosophy rooted in grace and elegance, the brand crafts each piece of jewelry using only the finest materials, including 18-karat gold and the highest quality craftsmanship, ensuring that every piece is a true work of art.
Welcome back to Faith Stories. If you have any prayer requests, please email me at faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. That's faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. And welcome back. Okay, so I have to tell you, you guys, this is hysterical how God works. I love how He works. So Bryan had a podcast here, and it's called, tell me the name again?
Gentleman's Tribe.
Gentleman's
Yes.
Tribe.
Yes.
And we never had the opportunity to chat. So a couple weeks ago, we actually were able to talk some more. And I found, of course, my first question before I invite anyone on the show is, are you a Christian? And he mentioned that I was agnostic, but now I am walking with the Lord. And I love those kind of people because they have such impactful stories. And he's not going to disappoint, but I will say, I want you to grab a box of tissues. I've got mine down there, so I may reach over when the camera's only on Bryan because I don't want to be bending over. So Bryan, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I love your mission. I love your passion. And we had a chance to talk a little bit about what this show's about. And I just think it's a wonderful, unique show in a space that's greatly needed.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's all God. I have nothing to do with it. Seriously, I just listen to Him. If He tells me no, okay, I don't force anything. At least sometimes I try to, and I'm like, yeah, step back, Dawn.
It's interesting you say that because there's stuff in that realm that I would love to get to once we start getting more into the story. But I hear you when it's not really us; it's something working through us, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Bryan, let's talk about your upbringing, because you're a new Christian.
Yeah, so culturally Christian. We weren't a very religious family.
Right.
But we learned the Bible in the home. We were taught these values that are Christian values.
Right.
You know, I'll never forget my mom's words. What's the right thing to do?
Yeah.
Guiding principle. You know, and giving back, being there for people, not
Right.
just in words, but in body what you believe yourself to be. And, you know, later on, it wasn't till I had a breaking in my life where I found my way to where I realized everything I was being taught were Christian values.
Hello. I know
Exactly.
you don't
Right.
you don't understand necessarily what it is. Like, I knew that Jesus was my Savior as a little girl, right? But I came to know Jesus in my 30s.
Amazing.
You know,
Yeah.
that this relationship. But I didn't have that until I was in my 30s. Kind of like Jesus when he started preaching. But I'm not calling myself Jesus. Just kidding.
Right, exactly. Well, you know,
Far from it.
but you know, there's a time where, look, it's we could guide and we could teach our children, you know, the path. But at the end of the day, I believe it takes experience, and a lot of times it takes very tough experiences.
Right.
I mean, even with Jesus and his walking, he was obviously built very different.
No kidding.
But there was 10 years where, you know, the lost years, those weren't lost years.
No.
Those were the years
Right.
where he evolved, and then he began preaching at 30. So I think that story when really resonates with kind of, you know, not saying Jesus either.
I
but,
know.
but-
None
but
of us
but
are.
it's an unlocking, okay? But where you kind of find a way to spirituality, you know, but that's what Jesus is. Jesus is the path. He's the way. He's the example out there to live your life, not just in what he was saying, but what he embodied and who he was, you know, was in this world.
Right.
These are lessons for us to follow. So that's why it speaks so much to me that 10 years of he was evolving.
He was a carpenter. He was doing what his heavenly Father wanted him to do, and then it's like, okay, now it's time, and now it's time to show
Correct.
who he is, not only back then but now. And so Bryan, I want you to talk about your journey with your sons and how that brought you to your personal relationship with Christ.
Yes, it's I had 2 children with a life-shortening rare disease. My 4-year-old son, Ethan, in that picture, the young one there.
Ethan and Liam, right?
Ethan and Liam. Ethan
what
went to
a
heaven
beautiful picture.
last year on June 30th.
Oh, wow.
And we're fighting for the life of that other little boy. And we're doing everything we can. And what's interesting is, in our household, my wife is culturally Jewish, but not really, you know, and I was culturally Christian, but not really for a long time. But the way that we dealt with the grieving was a little different.
Sure.
For me, I kind of stepped into the masculine, saying, okay, I know it's a rare disease. They're saying it's hopeless, but if we could define it, we could attack it.
Right.
And I just got into...
Well, men are like that, though.
Yeah,
They want to
that's-
fix your problem.
That's how we're designed.
Right.
And, you know,
and thank God.
Yeah.
No, seriously. It's a blessing to have men that are like that, you know?
And I'm happy to hear you say that, because also I think that we, not to get too off base here,
Right.
but we're in a time where it's almost the competition of the masculine and feminine, where I believe it's more complementary.
Right.
Because what my wife brings to me is what I bring to her, and that's why
It makes...
it works.
Exactly. Well,
And-
hello, you know,
Yeah,
God created man and woman.
There you go.
Marriage, hello.
And exactly. So, but the way that I dealt with it was diving into the masculine. Let's go. We've made a lot of strides. You know, we found a drug for off-label use. We're utilizing stem cells. We have a gene editor to say yes to creating a gene therapy. I just have to raise a substantial amount of money. But what's interesting is this, is that the technology that needs to be developed to save my child, it's not just about one child.
Right.
It's not about one disease.
Yeah.
The technology that we're going to glean from this will affect not just rare diseases, it can affect age-related diseases, and also longevity interests out there with these certain vectors, which are delivery mechanisms for the gene therapies.
Okay.
But more importantly for this show, the purpose
Yes.
is my wife dove more into a spiritual sense.
Okay.
Okay.
Before you go into that, what I want to ask you before we get into that part, how did you know? What signs were in your children that they had this genetic disease? Because that may help parents out there who are walking through something that they don't understand, and you may be able to glean information for them.
The disease is very newly understood, only since 2012. And when I speak about this, I want to talk to every parent out there that might be walking a medical journey with their children, because it is a rare disease. For us, we had 2 early births, very dramatic. We didn't know what was going on.
Oh, really?
We felt is the boogeyman out to get us, but it was related to the pathology of the disease. Then there were certain challenges, and we didn't really know what we were fighting until one day Liam had a seizure, and the process of that is to get an MRI, and it revealed calcifications and cysts in his brain. Okay. And then ultimately it uncovered, the path to learn what it was uncovered that it was a condition called Coates Plus syndrome. Okay. I would like to share with any parent out there, and that ties directly into my faith, is that when you're told that it's hopeless, it's one step at a time, it's one day at a time. Even if you don't see where it is going, take those steps. And that is deeply tied to my faith, because if we did not take the action that we had, there would be no Coates Plus Foundation. Right. There would be no treatment of care now for all the children that come after my children. Darn it, maybe we got a chance to save Liam.
Well, exactly.
Right.
Wow. So now you've got your wife doing the spiritual part. Now, was she? You said she was Jewish, but she wasn't a practicing. No,
not a practicing Jew. It wasn't even Judaism that she was into. It was more type of philosophy. But what's interesting is, I sit in an interesting seat, and I will say this is because a life of somebody that was mainly, quite candidly, agnostic for 43 years. Okay. That has a culturally Jewish wife, from a cultural Christian background, that's understanding these deeper spirituality, that has a curious mind to learn, reading Eckhart Tolle, other things. You start realizing that a lot of this is seeing something similar from the same frame. I believe what speaks to me in my life is the Christian framing of that. Right. That's who I am as a person. I'm respectful of other people, but that's kind of where I see.
Right. So how did you start going to church then? I mean, because it's obviously God was stirring in you.
He was.
He didn't want to let you go because He doesn't want to lose any of us, you guys. He wants all of us in heaven.
And I didn't know it at the time.
Of course
but that's
not.
exactly what was happening. Yeah. I'm pretty tough. I have grit. Okay, but when certain relationships in my life aren't where they should be, I begin to fracture. Okay. I was in that place probably 3 years ago now, where, we're battling the onslaught of the rare disease while we're trying to find a cure, while we're trying to raise 2 special needs kids. Well, my wife can't work part-time to take him to all these medical institutions. I have my law practice that I have to keep running. Oh, by the way, I have to start a foundation. Right. And it's just this deluge.
Balls in the air trying to balance them all,
Balancing them all, juggling, and you know what's at stake. And I reached a point where I began to fracture. Yeah. Okay. And
understood. I mean, oh my gosh, how can you handle all of that and not fracture?
Oh, and it's funny because everything we speak to, I would think of other sermons that I've attended, since my path to church, and that actually speaks directly to one of the early sermons I went to. But in this space, there's 2 things that I did. One was starting a men's group and being vulnerable in those spaces. Women might have not generality, but most women have a better way of opening up and connecting.
Oh, yes. We as women love to talk and listen.
Men struggle with that.
Yes,
I know. And I think that that I needed that space to unload and unleash, and that's why I'm very passionate about the men's group that we have. Yeah. But the other thing I did was I started going to church. And the way I found the path was I have a chiropractor.
Okay.
And, one of these guys that's just put together, he's like the 13th best CrossFitter in the world. Beautiful family. Has another chiropractic office. I know he has a deep sense of faith. Always giving back. And I'm like, it's like I want to be him. But anyhow.
No, you don't want. No,
I know. I'm joking. I know. But I'm saying, and I just asked him. I said, Justin, I need something, man. Right. Help me out here. Yeah. where do you go to church? And he says,
he does practice, because I've been to him, and he does.
Justin Brown, by the way.
He will talk about faith and while he's working on you. I mean, and if you are a Christian boy, you just talk about Jesus the whole time, which is awesome. You know, I mean, seriously.
And what was disguised as conversation, I believe, was a whisper from God.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, he says, I go to Coastal, so I said, okay. I'm gonna check it out.
Right,
I surrender. I surrender.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the very first time to church. Of course, I'm, just discreet. Went by myself, and remember, I'm somebody that wants to find a cure to my kids. I want to hear they're going to be okay.
Of course.
And I'm fighting like heck. And the very first sermon was about you have to ask God for answers, and sometimes the answer is no. And I'm actually getting emotionally just talk about it, because to say that I was just trying to keep it in at the time is just understated. And I just, in my head, I'm like, I just need to get to my car. I'm going to lose it.
Right.
I need to get out of here. The sermon concluded, and as I'm walking out, of course, someone says, "Hey, Brian, aren't you Danielle's husband?" I'm like, oh.
I just wanted to escape, but God wasn't letting you escape.
Somebody else like, "Hey, Brian, is that you? I thought you were agnostic." I was like, oh, God. And then Justin shows up, and then a clown car comes out, and a bunch of clowns hop out. And I'm just kidding about that. But it was just like, I just want to get in my car, and I'm not even going to lie. I for the first time, because maybe I mask the grief in working very hard, and I get myself super busy to avoid it. But that was the first time I just lost it.
You were vulnerable. And
I was embarrassed because I'm in public, and I'm just bawling. And then I felt the community around me, and I felt the love there, and that it was a safe space for me to let out this grief, because you can't carry it.
No, you cannot. You have to lay it at his feet.
And as much as you think that you could carry the grief,
you can't.
And the much you think you could do it on your own, there's something different when you tap into Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. There was another sermon that made me think of when you're speaking earlier, and on stage, Shayla. I go to Coastal, TJ McCork, amazing pastor, and then Shayla, his wife, equally impressive, and she gave this one sermon, and she had a bunch of power tools on the stage, right, without the battery pack,
right,
and she's like, and she was, and everything I was going through, I'm whacking, I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm just,
I see where this is going, yes.
And she said, hey, but you're doing all this whacking, you're getting stuff done, but
you're not plugged into
you're
the
not
source,
plugged in
to Jesus. Let
me tell you that completely spoke to me, and when I had this shift of faith, and the idea of surrender. The idea of God is guiding you. You're being pulled into a direction.
Right.
Just surrender to it. And you may not see it at the time, but you know it's the right way. That is faith for me.
Yeah.
So it's the idea of, I didn't know we were going to find the things along the way for Liam and Ethan, and our journey is far from done.
Oh,
but I know that this was the design that God gave to me that I must follow, because this is his design. And ultimately, when you feel like you're being pulled, you have to trust it, surrender to it, and go. And it's not Bryan Docobo that's taking these actions.
Right.
It's this design of something living through me to be pulled.
Jesus, you're following in the steps of what Jesus wants you to do. And that's the thing. It's like, when you're literally on your knees, and you may not have been physically on your knees, but you were emotionally. You were broken. And that's when Jesus steps in, because he's someone who will go after that one sheep, where he won't let you go. He just wants you to invite him into your life. And when you went to your first service, it was a divine appointment. Jesus was talking specifically to you. That's why you had the impact that you had. And he wasn't going to let you leave until those people loved on you, because he wanted you to know how much he loves you. And he loves your family, and he's got you in the palm of his hands. And that's the Jesus that we know and love, you guys.
The breaking and while the breaking tests your faith, if you understand it, reinforces it.
Of course it does.
And it's just, it's with me. I was without faith, and then through this breaking and getting an understanding of when they said you have to ask God for answers, and sometimes the answer is no. But it goes on because there's another purpose, and you may not see it in this moment.
Well, exactly. I was telling you about my niece Rosie, and she died when she was 13 and a half. Do I understand it? Absolutely not. Do I understand why children get diseases? I don't. I don't think as human beings we ever do. But there is reasons that God is omniscient, right? And he knows all from the beginning, middle to end. And we just have to trust that he knows what he's doing. We may not like the outcome, but he's got you. And he's going to do amazing things because of whose you are, right?
Yeah. And it's yes, we all have our unique design. And within that design, things happen in our lives. And it's just, if there's one word I could just share with the audience, is just trust. That voice you hear, there are guardrails on it, but that voice, that state of consciousness, I do a lot of reading, and from different areas, but it's really giving me a better framework with my own faith. So for example, are my thoughts my own, are what I see out there that's, that are my senses that are going back into my body and interpreting that, is that who I am? Or is, my emotions even that come, and you're more observing it as a wave that come in, is that who I am? Maybe it's not any of that. It's that silent watcher inside. And in that space, in silence, in prayer, and meditation, that's where you could connect and you could find your way. And that's a practice that I'm in the process of really trying to implement in my life. Is, not that I am Bryan, but I am experienced life as Bryan, and it's creating that meditative prayer-like state, so I can walk the path I'm supposed to walk. Because sometimes it's confusing. It's and I ask God all the time. I pray and I say, can you show me where I'm messing up? Am I screwing this up somehow? Am I kind of going this direction, but I'm supposed to go over here? It's kind of like,
right?
But I have these questions, and what's reinforced is, no, Bryan, this is the way. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But I'm like, okay, I hear you, but can we get a little more technical? But they won't make it that clear.
He never makes it that clear. There are moments where he is very clear, right? And you're like, okay, got the message.
Right.
But I think that's to rely on him even more, to surrender each day to him. And that's what you have to do, surrender each day, because we get in the way. Our minds are always going, and to quiet your mind and to hear God's voice is not an easy thing, No. It isn't.
No, it's not. And it's just, but being, the practice of learning how to listen, because it's funny, I reach a point in my life where then I look back on my life and I'm like, oh, that was God trying to tell me something.
Oh, hello, yes.
And I totally ignored it. And I was like, oh, this over here, and that gut feeling I had, that was pushing me this way, and I didn't listen, and something awful happens.
Absolutely.
So it's funny how that works, where when you do reach that state and you look back on your life, you kind of realize all these clues were hiding in plain sight. And you feel foolish. But no, it's your time. You're called now. You know how to listen.
There you go.
And once you know how to listen, then you could start designing your life. In
so true.
In his direction.
Clues. It's funny that you say clues, because my friend Melissa, who I introduced you to a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
But no, she has a book called Clues. So you guys need to go out and get it. And it's all about listening to the clues that God gives you, because he is in communication with you. You're just too busy to hear.
It's so true. I get chuckle now, because this was all stuff that was off my radar for 4 years. Now I'm looking back and I'm just, have a better understanding. And I just have to, I kick myself, yes, but at this point there's nothing that can be done. But I can listen now going forward. That's it, right? So that's something that I'm practicing on. But I have a question for you.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. Flip the script here. So as a new Christian or newer Christian, and I feel that I've kind of dove right into it. Obviously, we discussed a bit of our story.
Right.
What advice would you give a guy like me, or other people in your audience that, they're being exposed to, Christian stories through your show, and may not be, fully going to church, but are kind of interested.
Right.
What advice would you give people like us to that might help with the path?
I think the best advice I can give is to find a Bible teaching church and to make sure they teach the Bible, because it is an equal opportunity offender. You may not like what you hear, but then that's the correct church you need to be in, because we need the word spoken. We need God's word spoken. That's what I would say. And getting into a men's group is really important. Women's group, whatever, small group. Those are the community, and getting tied in. That community at Coastal wasn't going to let you escape. No. Man, they were on it. They were like, we need to go after this guy because he needs to be loved on, and that's what I would recommend.
Right. It's a wonderful community there, and unfortunately, life happens where I can't go every single Sunday.
But you can watch.
But when I go, I did watch online. He actually did a great thing on leadership recently. Yeah. But anyway, but when I don't go, I'm off. Like I feel it in my soul, and
absolutely.
And it's funny, but not funny, but just by design. Every time I go, I feel the sermon is tailor-made to exactly what I'm going through.
He's speaking
at that
to you.
moment.
You just have to go and listen.
Right. So right, exactly.
Okay, so hold on.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
We're going to go for a quick break, and we'll be right back.
There we go.
Broughton Garage Door Sales now offers you a difference with the LiftMaster Secure View Ultra Quiet Smart Opener with camera, LED 360-degree lighting, and battery backup. Built-in camera adds video and two-way audio communication to the MyQ app. You can control, secure, and monitor your garage anytime, anywhere from your smartphone. Schedule today at broughton.com.
Just simply call Broughton. We open doors for you.
Tavilla Properties, located at 11471 West Sample Road, Suite 17, located in Coral Springs, Florida, for all your commercial needs. Call Jan at 954-341-1632. That's 954-341-1632, or visit www.tavilla.properties.com.
Discover Rosie's Garden. The collection draws inspiration from the beautiful niece of the founder, Rosie, who brought joy to many before passing too soon. Her beauty and spirit are reflected in every piece. Founded by two friends, Rosie's Garden is a female-owned brand passionate about creating stunning, elegant jewelry that embodies the concept of bellissima, the Italian word for beautiful. With a philosophy rooted in grace and elegance, the brand crafts each piece of jewelry using only the finest materials, including 18-karat gold and the highest quality craftsmanship, ensuring that every piece is a true work of art.
Welcome back to Faith Stories. If you have any prayer requests, please email me at faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. That's faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com.
All right. Well, Bryan, we only have like a minute that I'm going to give you, because then I have to talk about Stacy's book and wrap it up for next week. So what would you want to share, to everybody? What's your last word?
Well, I have two last words because I'm an attorney.
I know, but you only have one. No, go.
One is we do have a virtual 5K coming up for the Coats Plus Foundation.
Okay,
you could go to coatsplus.org to sign up for that. You could be anywhere in the world and sign up for that. It's for a great cause. It's part of my life mission. The second thing that, if I could leave your audience, is this. Mm-hmm. Grief is an invitation.
Ooh, I like that.
Grief is an invitation. Mm-hmm. And when you're at your lowest and you go to very dark places, one step at a time, one day at a time, find your faith. Ultimately, it is something living through you. It's not something happening to you. It's something happening for you.
Amen.
But you have to be able to listen and follow in His Word, and you will find your way.
Oh, Bryan, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
He's coming back. Okay?
I'll be back. This is an honor.
He'll be back. Okay, you guys, listen. I'm going to tell you about Stacy's book, which I talk about every week. She was a dear friend of mine who lost her battle with cancer back in September of 2024. She wrote this amazing book you need to get on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and it's about a young girl who ran away from home, had gotten into a huge fight, and she got caught up in sex trafficking. Unbelievable book. You can get it. Go out and get it. All right, next week, my guest is Lael, and I don't remember her, Baham, who's going to come next week, and she goes to my church, and she's an amazing singer. So join us next Wednesday at 3 o'clock, and have a blessed week, you guys. Ciao.
Thank you for watching Faith Stories, where you will hear stories of hope, faith, and love. Please join us next week, and remember, God meets you where you are, but doesn't leave you where you are.